Hey everybody, welcome back. So today is day 2 of Liberty training. Why do I do Liberty training? I do it because it really makes a big difference under saddle if my horse understands how to use their body. Not only is it extremely fun to teach your horse how to do, but if you have a performance horse and you want to get them even better under saddle, this is a great way to do it. So the first video I talked about step 1, horse has to trust you enough to want to follow you around. That's the number one biggest important thing that I can recommend is a horse has to be able to follow you without a line on and without giving them treats. They want to be with you, not feel like they have to be with you or feel like they need to be with you, just like in a relationship, independently together. So I've got French Toast, he's 4 years old, just turned 4, and we are going to work on this with him. So what I like to do is when I get into when I know that the horse will follow me, and the second video I showed you a little bit of lateral work. So today I'm going to show you how we kind of get to that. So what I'm going to ask French Toast to do is I'm going to ask him to move that inside hip. So when I go towards that inside hip with energy, I want him to want to step forward and under, not backwards, right? So I don't want him to be stepping back like this. I want him to step under and forwards with the outside leg and under. So why is this important? It's important for me because that's how I want him to be when I ride him and I have him using himself and using his hind end. And then he starts to bend at the rib cage. So how do I relate that to then Liberty work? So if I walk towards him, walk towards that inside hip with now anything except for a loose line, that's how he starts to want to step under and follow me without any line attached at all. If I want to go to the shoulder and move the shoulder, I'm going to put my hand up, ask him to reach across. Now you might just get one step at first, but that's important. So I'm going to do that again. Now I want him to reach with that inside, so I might ask him to take a step back. They crossed over, which will be another exercise we're going to do. But I want him just to start to understand how it is to move that shoulder and have the freedom of the shoulder. Why is it important to get your horse to be able to use the hind end and the front end independently? Well, just like we don't want to have to, every time we lift our hand up to do something, our leg is attached. So you go to wave at your friend, oh, hey Bob, and the leg goes up too. We want to be able to independently move not only our right hand from our left hand, from our legs, from our hips, from our torso to our neck. We want them to be able to do the same thing. Remember, it is not natural for a horse to do all those things because they're forward-moving creatures that forage and run away from stuff if they need to. So they have no desire or need in the wild to need to know how to use their body correctly because they typically are not going to be doing what we ask them to do. So remember that. So what am I going to get if I utilize? So I use a flag, and every place where I place my flag, so if I have my flag here and I'm just going up and down, I don't want him to be worried, okay? If I go to this side, this side, this side, I don't want him to be worried at all. I'm putting no pressure on him. Now, if I want to pet him with it, it's an extension of my arm. You'll notice that when I do this stuff, he doesn't change at all. Now, I want the flag to still have meaning, so if I go towards the shoulder, and I ask him to take a step, I want the flag to have a meaning towards that shoulder. If I go towards the hind end, I want him to start to feel the pressure of that. And then I release the pressure when I don't want him to keep moving. Why is this important with training? Well, first off, there's a couple different ways we have to look at it. We have to be able to utilize energy to move him, which is not touching him. And then I need to also be able to go up to him and just ask him by putting my hand where my calf would be and asking him to move. Now, he's not going to know that if I'm just using energy to move him. So if I use my flag to move him and he gets really good at that, but then I go up and touch him on the side of his rib cage with my hand, I can't expect him to put 2 and 2 together because he doesn't know what it means yet. So what I might do is I might go, okay, you're not moving. Now I'll come in with my flag, which you're familiar with. So I'll put my hand here, and I'll use the flag. I'm bridging the gap, right? Why is this important with Liberty work, in my opinion? Is because if your horse is connected to you energetically, but yet we're still teaching them physical touch, so when we get on them, they can correlate the two. We have a much better chance of our horse wanting to be with us. And once you start to get, so those are the two concepts we're going to work on today, is can you move the hindquarters with your flag, and then get to the point where if you walk, I'm going to ask him to come in front of the center of the camera. So if I walk off and I say, hey, I need you to move the hind, and I just walk towards the hind, are you going to be with me? And are you going to want to face me? So if I come over here, so you can see now. Now, he's a young horse, so he's still trying to figure out his body a little bit in the way he moves his rib cage. So the more that he uses his body and uses himself correctly, it's going to be way easier under saddle. That being said, I'm going to do a little test with him and go, okay, how well, so I'm going to move the hind end over, good. Now I'm going to see if I can walk next to him laterally and have him follow me. So I'm going to ask, move the front, hind, front, hind, front. Good. So you can see how nice he crossed over with me. So now I want to get him to be in tune with what I'm doing. Always be curious and want to have fun with me. So now I'm going to try this other side here. So I'm going to go, okay, can we move front, front, hind, front, hind. Now, horses are very good at matching steps. What does that mean? That means that in the wild, if you've watched horses, and actually I did a video on him probably about 8 months ago where he was running through the field with another one of my horses, and they were in perfect stride canter together. Horses have a thing called, I like to call it collision avoidance. They know how to miss each other if they're moving around. Birds have this as well. So they can get in sync with our footsteps. Just like if I'm teaching my horse, and this goes back to Liberty, everything starts on the ground and with a line. But if I want him to step backwards, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my left foot when he moves his right foot. When he moves his right foot, I'm going to move my left foot. So you can see here, so I'm going to go step, 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 step. Okay? So you can see in that example is that it's going to be easier for him to learn how to back up if I am matching my steps with his. So this is something I want you to practice. I'm going to try and keep these short. If he gets stuck a little bit, ask him to come over here. So these are the two things today that I want you to work on. So first, step one, can they follow you around without a line on? Step two, can we start to move the inside hip and forward and under? Can we move the shoulders? Remember, we're going to apply energy from our flag in all the places. So if I want him to move his front end over, I'm going to apply my flag right there. You can see how nice and light that was. You want to get that light. You want to get your horse really, really light in order to start to get them to trust you, be confident with you, and want to start to work with you. If you guys have enjoyed this, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell button so it notifies you, and tomorrow we'll be doing another session. But we can't get the horse to be super connected with us until we get them to want to do the things we're asking them to do, and they can't do those things until we teach them how to do them with a line on, and then we can start to use other tools, which we'll get into later. But I'm trying to do it step by step so you guys can really understand, and hopefully this really helps you. If you have any questions, leave a comment below.